the wind was a lie. Sergeant Elena Ramirez knew it. Her spotter, a veteran named Master Sergeant Miller, had called out a 9-mile-per-hour crosswind from the east. The flag at the range's 20-meter mark fluttered in agreement, a perfect, steady dance. But Elena could feel the subtle, swirling air currents on her skin, the way they caressed the barrel of her rifle differently on each side. The target, a small metal plate a quarter-mile away, was a silent witness to their disagreement. 9 miles per hour, Ramirez, Miller repeated, his voice a low grumble through the radio. Adjust for 3 clicks left. Negative, Sergeant. I am feeling it shift. I believe it is a 6-mile-power gust, then a 2-mile-power tailwind. All within the trajectory. A heavy sigh crackled over the comms. Ramirez, you are going by feel again. We have the data. Elena did not reply. She settled into the prone position, her cheek against the cold polymer stock of her M110 SAS. Her rifle was an extension of herself, a tool she understood on an intimate level. She could feel the subtle hum of its internal mechanisms, the way the metal cooled against the morning air. The scope offered a perfectly clear view of the target, a tiny silver square. But a clear view did not mean a guaranteed hit. She breathed in, slowly, deeply, then let half of it out. Her heart rate was a steady drum, barely audible, above the whisper of the wind. Just take the shot, Ramirez. You will be fine, Miller said, a hint of impatience in his tone. That was the problem. She was always fine. She was always a good shot. Her precision and skill were legendary among the marksman units, but she was never treated like a peer. She was a curiosity, an anomaly. They respected her ability, but they did not see her as one of them. They said women cannot snipe, a phrase she had heard whispered behind her back more times than she could count. She had always fought to prove it wrong, one perfect shot at a time. She ignored the data and adjusted her scope based on the feeling in her gut. The almost supernatural awareness of her surroundings that had saved her life and her team's more than once. 3 clicks, right, not left. On my mark. You have the shot, Miller said, and Elena held her breath, watching the crosshairs. There was a moment of absolute stillness, a quiet peace before the storm. The wind, which had been playing its subtle game, held its breath for an instant. That was her window. Crack. The sound of the shot was deafening. The recoil, a sharp push against her shoulder. The bullet traveled, a silent streak of metal, a messenger of pure kinetic energy. It struck the target, not in the center, but a hair's breadth to the right. A perfectly placed hit that proved her calculation was correct. Miller's data would have put it off target by inches. Damn it, Ramirez, Miller's voice came back, a mixture of frustration and grudging admiration. How do you do that? Elena smiled, a small, private thing. I told you, Sergeant, the wind was a lie. 2 weeks later, the lies became real threats. They were deployed to a city on the cusp of civil war, a place of broken concrete and shattered glass. Their mission was to provide overwatch for a Delta Force team, led by Major Jensen, who was tasked with extracting a high-value asset. The asset was a scientist with critical data on a new type of biological weapon. Elena and Miller were positioned on the roof of a 20-story apartment building, their rifles aimed across a sprawling plaza. The air was thick with the scent of dust and diesel fumes. They had a perfect view of the target building and the surrounding streets. Target is in position. Jensen's voice came through the comms. Delta 2, moving to breach. Be ready for anything. Roger that, Major, Miller replied, his eyes glued to his scope. The mission was going smoothly. The Delta Force team breached the building, secured the asset, and began their exfiltration. Then the sky changed. It was a subtle shift at first, a distant rumble that was not thunder. It was the sound of something powerful, something impossibly fast. Air support, what are you seeing? Jensen's voice was strained, the easy confidence gone, static, a burst of unintelligible chatter. Then, a horrified voice cut through it all. Contact. Bogey is. It is a Viper class. What the? It is an F-22 Raptor. It is not on our flight plan. Silence. Then a new sound, the sharp shriek of a jet engine, and the world was a blur of speed and noise. The F-22, a ghost gray predator, screamed across the sky. It was not a friendly, it was a threat. This is Viper. A calm, cold voice came over all channels, his tone devoid of any emotion. This airspace is my sovereign territory. Any who violate it will be neutralized. A blast of pure sound tore through the air as the F-22 launched a missile. It was not aimed at the building. It was aimed at the Delta Force's armored transport vehicle, a small jeep parked on the street below. The jeep exploded in a ball of fire, throwing shrapnel and debris into the air. "We are under attack," Jensen shouted. "He is targeting us directly. We have no air support. Our comms are being jammed." Elena watched in horror as the F-22 banked, a breathtaking display of impossible acrobatics. The pilot was a master, a virtuoso of aerial combat. He was toying with them, a cat with a very small mouse. Another missile. It hit the side of a building, causing it to collapse and block the only escape route for the Delta Force team. "We are pinned down," Jensen said, his voice flat with despair. "He is just playing with us. He will kill us all." Elena's heart hammered against her ribs. She felt the fear, the cold dread of a mission gone wrong. But beneath it, a different emotion began to simmer. A cold, focused anger. "Miller, get a distance on that bird," she commanded, her voice calm and steady. "Ramirez, what are you? Are you crazy? It is an F-22. You cannot shoot that thing down with a rifle." Miller's protest was sharp. "Just give me the distance, Sergeant," she snapped. "He is making low passes. He is flying a predictable pattern. He is showing off." Miller, shocked by her tone, complied. He focused his scope, a complex piece of equipment that could calculate distance and speed with incredible accuracy. 2 miles, maybe a little more. "He is at 1,200 feet, Miller said, his voice laced with disbelief. It is impossible. The bullet will not even reach that fast. The wind, the air pressure. He is flying at over 1,000 miles per hour." The F-22 made another pass, this time directly over their building. The force of the sonic boom shook the concrete beneath their feet. Elena could feel the vibrations in her teeth. Her rifle, her M110, felt small and insignificant. "He is making a third pass," Miller said, his voice trembling slightly. "He will be on a direct path to the Delta Force team. He is going to drop a bomb." Elena knew he was right. The pilot, Viper, was an executioner. He was not just a threat. He was a judge and jury, and he was about to deliver a verdict of death. She had to do something, anything. She began to calculate, not just the bullet drop or the wind, but the future. She had to predict where the F-22 would be when the bullet reached its destination. She had to account for its speed, its trajectory, the subtle shifts in the pilot's movements as he flew the perfect, arrogant pass. "Sergeant, what are you doing?" Miller asked. "We need to get out of here. He will see us." "Negative, I am taking the shot." "You cannot, the bullet will not have the power. You will not even penetrate the armor." "He is making another pass, Miller. He is coming in low and slow to drop his payload. He is showing off his precision." "No," Miller said, his voice firm. "You are not a missile, Ramirez. You are a sniper. This is a suicide run for the bullet. It will never make it." Elena ignored him, her focus now absolute, her mind a cold, calculating machine. The F-22 was not an aircraft. It was a target. She needed to find its weakness. The pilot, for all his skill, was still a man, a human being. The cockpit was his life support, his command center. It was also the only part of the F-22 that was not completely armored. The canopy was made of a highly durable, transparent polymer, a composite material designed to withstand incredible forces. But it was not a steel plate. It was a weak point, a single, tiny pane of glass in a metal ghost. She would have to hit a specific spot on the canopy, a point that was just a few inches wide. She would have to hit it while the plane was moving at immense speed. And the bullet was traveling for a full 3 seconds, a lifetime in combat. "He is turning," Miller said, his voice a frantic whisper. "He is coming in low. He is a 2-mile distance, 1,000 feet, and closing fast." Elena's body was a statue, her breath held, her eyes focused on the single, tiny spot. She knew she could not fire a single bullet and hope for the best. She would need a second bullet, a follow-up shot, to disrupt the canopy's structure, to create a weakness. She had to shoot 2 bullets almost simultaneously, a feat of pure, mechanical timing. "He is in range, Ramirez. He is right in front of us," Miller said, his voice a strained croak. Elena pulled the trigger, once, then a second time, with a fraction of a second between them. The sound was a single, sustained roar, not 2 distinct cracks. The recoil was a double punch to her shoulder, a punishing force. The first bullet traveled, an invisible thread of kinetic energy, a promise of violence. It hit the canopy, not with a bang, but a sharp, tinny ping. It did not penetrate, but it did create a tiny hairline fracture in the ballistic polymer, a spiderweb of pure stress. The second bullet followed, its path a mirror of the first, a silent, deadly echo. It hit the exact same spot, the fracture point. The canopy shattered, not into a million pieces, but into a spiderweb of shattered material. The force of the impact was enough to disorient the pilot. The sudden rush of air into the cockpit, a punishing gale. The F-22, a bird of prey suddenly blinded, began to spiral. Its perfect, arrogant flight path was broken. It was a wounded animal, a metal beast in its death throes. It did not explode, it did not fall in a fiery ball, it just lost control. It banked hard, its wing clipping a distant building, and then it was gone. A silent plummet into the city streets below. Silence. The air was still thick with the smell of dust and cordite. But the screaming shriek of the F-22 was gone. The world was quiet again. "My God," Miller whispered, his voice a reverent thing. You did it. You shot down an F-22 with a rifle." Alina lowered her rifle, the adrenaline ebbing away, leaving her cold and shaking. "I did not shoot it down, Sergeant. I broke its will. I gave the pilot a headache he will never forget." The aftermath was a blur. The Delta Force team, saved from a fiery death, was exfiltrated. Major Jensen, a man who had faced death 100 times, was a man in shock. He had seen the F-22 plummet, seen the impossible shot that had saved his life. "Ramirez, you are a goddamn angel of death," he said, his voice a mixture of awe and disbelief. "I am not sure I will ever believe what I saw with my own eyes. I will never be able to fully comprehend it. The mission was a success, but the story that came out of it was not about the high-value asset. It was about the impossible shot. It was about the woman who had done what no one thought could be done." Back at base, the quiet reverence was palpable. The snipers, the men who had whispered and doubted, looked at her with new eyes. Their respect was no longer grudging. It was absolute. They had seen the impossible, and it had humbled them. Sergeant Miller, her spotter, came to her later that night. He was holding a beer, his face a grim mask. "I am sorry, Ramirez," he said, his voice low and full of genuine regret. "I should not have doubted you. I should have trusted you. You were right all along. The wind was a lie. The F-22 was not invincible. It just needed someone who could see what others could not." Alina took a sip of her beer, the cold liquid a comfort against her nerves. "We are a team, Sergeant. We always have been. The doubts were not about me. They were about you. About all of you. You will have to get over that." He nodded, a small, sad gesture. "I know, I will. You will never have to prove anything again. Not to me. Not to anyone." She knew he meant it. He had seen the proof, not just in a training exercise, but in a life-or-death situation. He had seen the impossible, and it had changed him. "I will still be here, Sergeant. I will still be taking the shot," she said, a small smile on her lips. "Someone will always need to watch the wind. Someone will always need to see the lie." And she would continue to stand her ground, to prove her worth, not with words, but with a perfect, deadly precision that defied all logic. They said women could not snipe, but on that day, with one 2-mile shot through the cockpit of an F-22, Sergeant Alina Ramirez had proven them all wrong. She had not just saved a Delta Force team, she had shattered a prejudice, one impossible shot at a time.